Um, Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us to our conversation here today on Stitching Connections. We're honored to be in company of three such great artists here, sitting right to my right here. I want to say a couple of things about their careers and about their amazing careers and their innovation and cultural engagement that has really been true throughout their whole career. And I'm going to start with you, Sue. Sue began her artistic path while studying molecular biology and biomedical illustration, developing a unique vision of the microscopic world through painted and quilted textile constructions. A pioneer of what became known as the art quilt, she creates intricate collages of dyed painted and recycled fabrics. Her work has been exhibited internationally in museums, U.S. embassies, and institutions such as the International Quilt Studies Center and Museum and the National Quilt Museum. A widely respected educator, she lectures and teaches across the world from her studio in Dallas. Pamela Nelson is a Dallas-based artist working in painting, mixed media, and public art, with exhibitions in more than 100 national venues, including the Dallas Museum of Art, the National Museum of Women in the Arts, and the National Arts Club in New York. Her public artworks are woven into the fabric of North Texas, from dart stations and stained glass commissions to the major national installations at DFW Airport and North Park Center. She's also deeply engaged in arts education and civic services, including a decade as vice chair of the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts as a presidential appointee. So, and our third artist here, Carolyn Brown, is an acclaimed photographer. She has devoted her life to documenting cultural, historical, and architectural sites across the Middle East, Mexico, Central America, and Texas. Her career began with a brownie hawkeye in childhood and expanded through her studies in Islamic art and architecture images. Featured in multiple books through Texas A&M University Press, they capture the layered beauty, heritage, and humanity of ancient cities and diverse cultural landscapes. So together, these three remarkable artists joined us here at the gallery to create this wonderful exhibition in collaboration with Honduran women, and I could not be more excited about the outcome that this exhibition took here. So why don't we just dive right into our conversation here? And my first question is to Pamela, and it would be, because you have been creating or been collaborating with the women over about 2 decades now, what was the point where you realized that this is a much different beast that we're getting into here? What we are creating here is different than your previous collaborations with the women.
This is a big step forward. The women have been doing home goods, pillowcases, table runners, and things that were very domestic. And this is things are framed and treated as art. And one of the best things is that you gave us the walls. You have to have walls to put these up. Otherwise, it's a bedspread or it's something else. These are art now because you have treated them with such respect, William. And it's a great installation. But they did about 3 shows that artists did drawings, black and white drawings, and they interpreted those and made works of art with those. So they kind of went into this, but this has been the biggest leap of, they did a big piece for Parkland Hospital. They did a big job in, I think it was Costa Rica for a Marriott. They did all the pillows and, coverings of the beds in that whole hotel. So they're not afraid of hard work. They are such hard workers. But this is, I bet they're the most proud of this exhibit of anything
Yes, and if you want to speak in the microphone.
Did I speak into the microphone?
Yeah,
Okay.
just a little bit closer. It's easier to hear you that way. And yes, I had that same experience when I heard Patty, who is the representative of Honduras Threads, here speaking to me. The excitement in her eyes was just unimaginable. I mean, the the pride that they have of this project is really remarkable. So they're very happy with the outcome, which I think is the most important thing maybe of this whole project. So I want to continue with you, Sue. You helped shape the initial impulse that shifted the project in the way that it ended up being. Can you walk us through the early conversations that you had with the women and how you envisioned a new kind of technical approach to them creating this work?
It really started with a pillow that I bought years ago that's been in my guest room for a long time. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And a Pamela's design that the women appliqued and embroidered. And then, of course, Pamela asked me to be in the 20 by 20 pillow show that was at Craighead Green. And that was a great honor, and I got so excited about that and going to Honduras to meet the women and maybe work with the women, learn from them, that I told Bill and Malou I wanted to go to Honduras. And they didn't think I would actually follow through, but I did in the summer of 2023, and it was an incredible experience. And I got to meet the ladies and work with them and see uh, their incredible dedication and how brave they were, and then also with a translator to talk to them about their artistic dreams. And that was one of those things that just lit me up inside. And I had seen a piece in Paris, I think at the Pompidou Center by Boetti, that was embroidered by Afghani women that he had drawn. And that was always in the back of my mind of, wouldn't it be incredible to produce works like that and have any artist in the world work with beautiful stitchers. So I just started, I was telling Bill, oh, I have this idea. And Malou was really excited about it. And I said, I want to try to make works that are purely art and give the women as much time and, uh, and, and leeway to create works that they can work on as art in collaboration.
Yeah, that's so fascinating to really that leap of yours, that seeing the women and their work, and then really taking that initiative to collaborate with them and maybe even transform your own work in a way, because that would be my next question to all three of you actually. Was there a moment when you saw your own work in a different way when it was interpreted by the women? I don't know if who has the first thought to that maybe. Um, yeah, to that. Was there?
Actually, I kind of came to this after you all have done so much with it. So it was a new experience for me. Can you hear me? Okay. Um, but it was quite wonderful because for one thing, I went into my archives and found pre-Hispanic images such as this guy back here and the head and the glyphs that they could possibly relate to, and that was quite a lot of fun. And yes, it definitely opened up ideas and experiences for me to work with them. I only wish I could meet them and watch them work. Maybe I can someday.
Hope you can. Yes, I'm sure you can. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any.
This has been happening for me constantly for about 23 years. That every time, I would give them black and white drawings, and then they would pick the colors, pick the threads, pick the stitches. Sometimes they used patterns. I was always surprised this intuition that they're trusting more and more. It's fantastic, and so it always turns out so differently than I would ever imagine myself painting.
Yeah, and actually, that my next question will be also to you, building on your legacy that you've left with Honduras Threads already, and what do you think this project adds to that previous collaboration? You know, where as you said previously, they're pillow covers and table runners, and now they're artworks hanging on a wall. You know, is there anything else you want to say about
I do think the
legacy
tide
of
is turning for people to look at textile art a lot more seriously. I've seen the show at the National Gallery of weavings and embroideries, and at the Met, I brought something from G's Bin. This is from the Met. These women worked with scraps down in Alabama and made wonderful quilts, and now they're collected in art galleries. So I do think it's not. It's all art. It's not shut to the sidelines now. So I think this is a wonderful time for the Honduran women to show what they can do, and they can do a lot.
That's absolutely true. When you see the all kinds of different collaborations that you see on the walls here, and we keep saying collaborations, but I don't know if it's necessarily apparent to everyone how those collaborations came together. And because Sue kind of spearheaded this project with really inventing a lot of the ways on how you guys can collaborate with the women. Do you want to maybe kind of lay out the different ways that you collaborate with the women, and how the individual pieces came together from on a technical aspect?
When I was envisioning the show, I tried to imagine as many ways that I could interact with the women without actually going there, and how we could convey ideas. And of course, this couldn't have been done without having Honduras Threads in place here, and the Arte y Creatividad there, and the translators with Patty and Sandra. Uh, that made all this possible. But I thought, okay, what could I do that was based on a drawing, like Pamela had been working with, a black and white drawing that they can interpret in different color schemes. So I put together packets of fabric and said, use them however you want in different color combinations. And then I thought, well, what if we print? What if we use the technology of printing on canvas, on raw canvas, and then we would have the ability to translate photographs and other types of subject matter, and give them a chance to really explore landscape or interpretation of a photograph. So that was another way of working. And then in one particular project, the first one, I had them, the bouquet of flowers, of sunflowers, I had them send me back each 6 pieces of fabric. And then I had to make the piece that the quilt that I made out of all 24 fabrics that they sent back to me. So that's the piece on the wall to the left, in the center there.
Yeah, that's such an interesting piece, because you allowed the women to dictate what you are doing. So you're obviously, there is a response back and forth between your work and their work, but it's so interesting to have the women make these artistic decisions and these creative decisions along their path and along their craft, or the making of these pieces. And all throughout, I think that's become so apparent when you walk through this exhibition. All the color, all the textiles, and all the textures that are included here. It really, I think, conveys a really strong relationship and also their personalities. It reflects their personalities. They're colorful, they're bold, they're not afraid, they're brave women. So I think this exhibition really shows that, and that's thanks to your work. So thank you for that. I want to continue with Carolyn. Your photographs come from the regions of Mesoamerican history. Can you share a story of maybe when you took one of the images where you connected in a meaningful way with the women in Honduras or in Mesoamerica, and how um, how you experience the people in Guatemala or Honduras?
Okay, I love what happened with the glyphs, and there are 6 or so glyphs in the photograph. Apparently, that particular, it's a huge, big stone about the size of this, and apparently it fell over, and so it was preserved. And I love what they did with that. Each one is, they aren't brightly colored. They're subdued. It's as if they really knew what they were meaning, and they do have words. They say something, such things as uh, green, okay, green, blue. I don't have my glasses on. Bone, God, Master, Coyote, Holy, Five, Earth, Lord, and so on and so forth. So I just think there's a lot of meaning in that particular image, and they really got it. I think, yeah. I'm, that's delightful to me. And I love this one from Cacaxtla, which is in the state of Tlaxcala in Mexico. It's not, it's in sort of central Mexico. And I happened to be there when they were restoring it, when they had them all out in the open air. And I photographed them. And I was greatly, really fortunate because I went back another time and they all had been covered with plexiglass. And if you know what happens to plexiglass after a little bit of use, you can't see through it very well. And it's a difficult material. So I was very lucky. I didn't do the big murals. They were in pretty bad shape. I just picked little small pieces like this, the serpent. And I think they got the serpent as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I want to kind of go back to you, Pamela, and how you've been working with the women in the past, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think if you want to elaborate on how bold they are and how it is unique in working with the women because their bravery to new ways of working that are maybe unexpected to us here.
That's right. They don't even have, they have dirt floors. They don't have interior design in their homes. Every bit of money they get, they spend to send their children to school and buy them uniforms. And so they didn't really know what we were doing with all these pillows until the internet came and they could get some electricity in the generator and they could see how Americans are using these in their homes. And when we first started, Malou and Bill were there every time, but I only was there about maybe 3 visits. But I was early, and they were really trying to please, and they didn't know for sure what would be good, and they were kind of new with doing embroidery. And then Malou taught them basic stitches, and then they made up their own, and they got more. And then by the next time I was there, they were just saying, "I have an idea. I want to do this," and they were uh, they were confident, and it just put a lot of their children could see them work. They sit under the table sometime when they're working and talking, that their mothers are happy. They're making something beautiful, and it just brought a whole level of respect for them and their families. They're the big breadwinners, really. And so it was a lot of change over all those years. But this show reminds me of just a memory quill because this one over here that I'm pointing to, those were all pillows that we had a session, Sue, me and William, I think, and we just kind of went, there's a store over in Sylvan 30 in Oak Cliff, and so there's stacks of these pillows that are from other years, and we just would get them out and start arranging them and putting them in these wall hangings. And this one over here is just the pillows. And then Sue took the liberty to cut up some of them and make them half. And the masterpiece she did back here is my grandmother. Don't get me started on talking about my grandmother, but it's her little flowers. She showed me how to make it when I was about 10 years old. And so Sue cut those up, and then she used the borders of them for abstraction. That's a beautiful piece too. So it really, that day was kind of a frenzy, wasn't it, William?
It really was. I mean, I had to get out of there. There was too much creative energy, I think, there. No, it was really wonderful to see you interacting with this, material almost, and really
Then
having
it became like a collage. You made
really did,
something that was created for something else, and you made something else with it. That's
exactly
what collage is.
That's absolutely right, and it was so fascinating to see. And I remember Bill and I were standing there in awe over just your experience that just brutally came into action.
So a long time.
That's right, and you've been a collage artist for a long time in your life.
So we were having a day, but then it had to be all put together, and that's what Sue knows how to do. And
that's right.
I could just point. So.
Yes. So as we heard, that the working with the women over the years, they became the breadwinners of their families. They have an amazing understanding of creation and how to create these embroidery pieces. But in this project now, Sue, you work with them really closely on a more artistic level, where you really force them to have a artistic response to your work, right? So it was a more open-ended collaboration, whereas often with the pillowcases, obviously they choose their own stitches and all that, but they at first wanted to execute the product. They wanted to have a high quality product, and which we have here too. But there's a more artistic nature to it, and how to interpret a surface and how to create these pieces. So maybe you can speak a little bit about the openness and how the women took that challenge to create artistic work.
I really thought about different ideas of what if I give them this? What if I give them this? What if I give them that? What will they do with it? Where will they take this? How will it develop? And I liked that I could let go of that I could just say, oh, here's a little idea, and I wonder what they'll do with it. And there might have been, sometimes I would say, you can use whatever thread colors you want, or I'd give them a little guidance, but most of the time they had absolutely free reign to do, to interpret it. And I think what is so incredible to me is how they took it to something different that I didn't imagine. And the way the stitches are done in the shading and the patterning and the sectioning, in the interpretation of these pieces, I don't know where they pulled that all out of, but they did. Because that is a completely different level. I'm thinking on the faces of your photographs. I'm just fascinated by the swirling patterns. The piece behind here, the landscape images.
Yeah, it's really amazing, that technical aspect the women are, on what high level they operate is really, really amazing. And especially on this piece here behind me, I think there's a almost like a weave pattern that's stitched all throughout the surface of it that really gives it a yeah, beautiful texture to it. And you were touching on that, Carolyn, earlier about this piece, and it's part of it's a photograph at Cacaxtla, the Mayan archaeological excavation site, and it is part of the women's cultural heritage. Really, it's Mayan imagery that you captured in your photograph, and it is, yeah, part of their cultural identity, really. And I wanted to ask you how you feel about the women interpreting an image like this. Do you feel like they're particularly qualified to interpret that kind of work? Are they? Do you think they what do you think they think about interpreting that? Because it's known imagery to them.
I'd love to hear what they have to say. I'd love to hear what their response to these pre-Hispanic images are, because it seemed to me that they really got it. I mean, it's in their whole lives. They've known about it. The pre-Hispanic art and the sites are very much a part. I went to Copan, which is in Honduras. I didn't get any good photos to use here, but I just think that it is very much them. And I would love to hear what they have to say. Yeah, I'd love to see them and meet them. It's all about a craft, and from a craft moving to an art, and that's what it's about. And I think they have really succeeded.
Did you want to?
Well, I just wanted to say this excellence is Malou Bancroft always wanted to get the finest materials. This embroidery thread is from France, and it's dye fast and have good fabrics and not have any kind of sleazy polyesters and stuff. And so, I mean, the level they always started with good